What would you say for you was the defining factor that made you want to change it all?
You become this person that would never ever say that your medicine that helps you is what's actually hindering you.
Go and you can just party your brakes off.
You can be super manic, and the next day you can be super low.
It catches up with you.
It does.
And because it breeds a habit.
For 6.5 years straight, I did not go one day without a beer. So today we're going to talk about some of our experiences and talk about what to look out for, what not to do. I know you guys don't know us, but believe me when I say from my personal experience, I've made some really bad mistakes. I think that we all have. And
so the whole purpose of the conversation of why we wanted to approach you guys with our story is, you know, we're trying to create this portion of the channel to help young men and also just men in general who want to do something different.
yeah.
But the initial reasoning behind it was for young men, the newest generation coming up. And if our experiences could keep someone else from wasting time, because we both wasted multiple years.
Well, you're trying to find the balance there where you want people to have life experience.
You still live and gain life experience, but you don't waste years of your life with something that...
And it goes back to that old saying, moderation, really. Mm-hmm. Moderation. You know, some people can control their impulses. Other people can't control their impulses. That's why you see some individuals get addicted to certain things. Some individuals get addicted to other things. And it's really based off that personality trait. What kind of personality do you have? You know, are you okay with yourself in a dark room for a long time? Or can you deal with problems by yourself? If you can't, you're more susceptible to have an issue because you're always seeking that outward validation from something else because you don't have it in here, unfortunately. Sorry about my phone. I'll put that on silent. Who are you voting for? Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Don't soundbite that and say that I'm voting for that because I'm not. I'm not. We're Trump 24 over here.
Agreed.
And we're not afraid to say it at all. There's no reason.
Quite literally just said we watched Donald Trump.
But I do want to reiterate, we're Donald Trump supporters, and that's okay. It shouldn't be an issue.
No.
That should not be an issue. And there's so much hate going on, it's uncalled for. Even on both sides, I think we need to find a happy medium there. But back to what we were talking about when I silent my phone here. Sorry for being so inconsiderate. Airplane mode. I'm on my jet. Leave me alone. You can hear it out there.
There's a plane comes by.
You can hear it. Maverick, what do you think, bud? You ready to get into this conversation?
I'd say the main thing is don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time chasing a feeling. Don't waste your time chasing a feeling. You're going to have good days and bad days, period.
And you're going to have fun. You're going to have fun with friends. You're going to have fun with family members. It's outside of that time that gets you in trouble.
Yeah, if you're alone, spending a lot of time alone, you should be focused on yourself, bettering your body, bettering your spirituality, bettering your all-around persona, instead of maybe enabling that bad side when you're alone, because you can do both.
You can.
You know, and you are what you become. Or you are what you think. Like, you are what you think. And so if you think that you need all these things, it's going to lead you down a bad path, just like it led me down a bad path. Is that my phone again?
No,
that was mine. That was the iPad. I'm going to have to grab that iPad. Dang it. Where's that? Oh, right here.
This man's got notifications on his notifications.
I'm popular. What do you mean? Rat. Cedric, we're going to have to exit the chat room here, bud. You can. I know you don't want to sit on my lap, but you'll sit on Cody's lap. Oh my gosh, my name's Cedric, and I want to be the star of the show. That's what I want to be, the star of the show. He's a good old handsome boy. Go on, go do something fun, bud. You're a quarter size of what I am. Go do something fun. Run around under the house or something. Sorry about the iPad, but yeah, it's what I'm trying to convey is just because it's socially acceptable doesn't mean it's good for you.
No, it doesn't. And moderation is key. You know, as a young man, there's very slim chance that as a young man people will abstain.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible.
It's almost
the urge as a man to try new things is too great.
Seems like adventure.
Yes.
Seems like adventure.
Yeah, so you need to go out and experience things, because how do you know how detrimental things are without giving them a try?
And men,
there are certain things you should steer clear of entirely. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or don't go out and try hard narcotics, because the chances of you wanting to quit them are very slim to none.
You get on hook on that, it's over with, pretty much. I mean, 9 times out of 10, it's over with. And going out and having some beers with friends is fine, but it all depends on who you are as a person.
That's where I was going to get to. You know.
Well, we can speak from our experience. That's because you're a different
change as I got older.
Yeah,
is that there's no shot that I could sit around.
Yeah.
Nowadays, and be the guy that I was in my late teens, early 20s.
It's not sustainable.
Because it just makes you feel bad.
Yeah. It does.
I'll still go out. Like this past weekend was like my unofficial bachelor party, and we went pretty hard. Well,
when you said you did, it ain't.
But you know,
you also
come back from that, and you get back into the real world.
And you've also made kind of a handoff there, where you told me, and this is I didn't even know, where you're like, I decided not to drink while I'm in Hendersonville.
Yeah.
While I'm here to work in Hendersonville. Even when we have a downtime like right now, we could be doing something else, but we're not.
Yeah.
And I think that sacrifice that you're willing to make speaks a lot about your character and how far you're willing to go, because some people can't do that. They can't limit themselves to a certain aspect.
Yeah, you have to make a conscious decision to make a change.
And we both know people like that, which unfortunately, and everybody has their own demons, but as we continue to talk about it.
And that's what we're trying to avoid, though.
Right.
Is having a whole new generation of people that have those same demons if it can be avoidable.
Right. Especially if somebody's already been through it, where they can go back and say, hey, guys, look, when you make this decision, 9 times out of 10, this happens. You might get away with it for a minute. You might get away with it for longer than you deserve to get away with it. But just like JP talks about, you don't get away with anything. And that's the same thing in all these aspects.
It's like our conversation in the truck yesterday. You can do it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
You can overdrink for a couple of years, especially when you're young.
Getting in college.
Yeah, you can go and you can just party your brakes off.
Yeah.
But it catches up with you.
It does.
And because it breeds a habit.
Yeah.
So when you get out of school and you come out of the real world and you're used to drowning out things.
Yeah.
You continue to do it. But now you're working a 12-hour a day job that sucks, and you're coming home from work after working 12 hours. You're only up for another 4, and you're still drinking 12 beers.
And it's not like your boss is respecting you while you're there. It's not like you're getting... And I would argue that is natural validation for one to get. If you're working towards a goal, like, and you have a job, you definitely should get some sort of validation. Not through a check. I think it should be more of like, we're working together. This is going good. How can we make it better? In a lot of businesses, you don't get an opportunity.
In corporate America, you're never going to get that.
No. And that's another thing that we're trying to convey to these guys is that, if you're 21 to 30.
It's freedom.
It's freedom.
This is the only chance in your life that you get where it's relatively easy. It's not easy, but it's way easier than doing it in your 30s.
100%.
Now is your only chance to take the risk of building that freedom for yourself. That's why we preach side hustles. Because if you started as a side hustle now while you're eating crap at some entry-level job and you're not making a lot of money, but you're spending your free time out there grinding, in 5 years, you might be able to afford to quit that demeaning job that you hate and support yourself.
To position yourself in a different light. Yes. And then when you get more time with yourself, and that's where what you choose to do with your alone time comes into play.
Yep.
We're talking about those decisions you make alone in a room.
You've been self-medicating, and now you have all the responsibility of being a business owner on top of the inner demons you've already been trying to quiet. It's overwhelming.
Those inner demons come out within the business. unfortunately. And I know this all too well.
It pushes.
I promise you guys, I know this all too well. And you will push yourself to the absolute limits of your capabilities just to try to feel better for the next hour, the next 2 hours, the next 3 hours. And my problem was alcohol. My problem was beer. Never was too much on a liquor kick. I had my gin and tonics, but it never really was the problem. It was always overindulging in the beer. And man, I tell you what, when you get up every single day, it's almost like the 6 year time span, and we'll get into the details, I'm sure, but the 6 year time span, the 6 to 9 year time span, but the 6 was the worst. It just progressively got worse without me knowing it.
And you're working for yourself.
Yeah.
So you have the freedom.
You have the freedom.
You're not going to a job where if you drink a beer at 9 in, you're going to get sent home.
100%.
When you're working for yourself, you have a lot of freedom.
Yeah. And your mind also. So a lot of people go to a job because it is like a stationary way to get a goal done, right? So you can go, somebody else basically makes your time for you. Somebody else tells you what to do. It's a lot easier on people's brains that way. Some people are built that way. I was never built that way. And so I could always hold down a job, but I found that the value of the job would decrease. Right. And I'm drinking on top of that. So I'm trying to work at this place and I'm trying to maintain my alcoholism through this.
Which devalues everything.
And everything started to tank like slowly after that threshold. You know, you try to get a job, you try to do this, but you're still drinking. It's like you're spending $300-400 on alcohol per week. You know, that's your whole paycheck. Who else is going to fund that? Yeah, I was making decent money working for myself, but I was pissing it all away. Not only in the money side of it, but on the freaking physical side of it, on the spiritual side of it, on the mental side of it. I was pissing all that away. So my early 20s, I wasn't able to think like the average 20-year-old. My brain was on autopilot. My brain was somewhere else. And it's hard for me to think back on that time.
He was just making enough money to still buy beer.
Yeah, and so I had no purpose. And I think that's what a lot of people lack today, and that's what in our message we're trying to get out, is that there's purpose out there, but you've just got to find it. And it's through the sacrifices you're willing to make yourself a better person. At least that's part of it. That's a fraction of the issue. But yeah, no, to touch on that a little bit more, it just gets worse and worse and worse over time, and you don't see it.
No,
you can't.
No, because you're in it.
And you're in it.
You don't notice it until you start to escape that matrix.
Especially if you have somebody there enabling you to do that. Let's say your boss, you hate your boss. You're going to want to drink more if you already have a problem. Anything that you have.
Or you say you're just a blue-collar guy. Yeah. Everyone you work with overdrinks.
100%. So it's socially acceptable.
It's socially acceptable in your workplace.
Yes.
So when you're at work, all anyone's going to be talking about during the day is
getting that buzz.
It'd be nice to have a cold beer. It's hot. You know, it's 95 degrees in the middle of summer. All anyone's talking about is, man, that cold beer at the end of the day is going to be so nice. And so that's what you start thinking about. Mm-hmm. That's what's guiding you throughout your day. Mm-hmm. Is, man, when I get done with this day, I want to go home and I'm going to drink cold beer.
Yep.
But what the problem is that you go home and you drink that cold beer and you just don't quit till you go to bed.
Right.
That's how it starts to build.
Right.
In the beginning, you're going to drink 2 or 3 beers after work and you're going to catch a buzz and you're going to go to bed. After you do that for 5 years, now all of a sudden you're drinking a 6-pack every night after.
And what have you formed? What have you formed there? You formed a habit. And so now you're trying to almost not better yourself. And I want to say this, is that it's comparable. You can do the same in both areas. You can take the same energy that is giving you and better yourself. It is a choice. But people that are on those train tracks, it's like you can't turn on and off because it's hooked in. It's just you got to find the next pull-off site to get somewhere where you can think straight. And you can't think. You just think you're sick and you don't know why. And it's you become this person that would never ever say that your medicine that helps you is what's actually hindering you, because it's the only thing that makes you feel better. So it tricks your brain. It completely tricks your brain. And this is that's why you can do it, but you cannot make a habit about it. You are better off to make a habit out of lifting kettlebells for a living than lifting beer cans for a living, period. So instead of like while you're in work and while you guys are out working your 9 to 5 job, don't allow that to affect you. If you feel like you don't need it, there's no reason for you guys to partake in it. On the other hand, when somebody offers you an opportunity to go out to a party and you're 21 and you want to go out and have some fun, watch yourself. Be careful. You got to have some.
I'll do it on a Tuesday.
But especially if in your family you have alcoholism, I would just not touch it. And I'm not trying to give anybody advice on anything. I'm just telling you from my experience and from Koty's experience as well, because we've had 2 completely different paths that kind of led together, but we both had our run-ins with just issues in general, substances, alcohol, everything, women, you name it. I mean, that's just what we.
Yeah, there's plenty of things that are back in.
That's what we're about.
Plenty.
And we try to bring the authenticity to the table. Because that's the only way that we're going to convey our message. I know I keep saying convey, but it is true. That's the only way that we're going to get our message off to you guys is by being here with you and by being present with the audience. So, yeah, I mean, some things that we talk about can be uncomfortable to some people, but at the end of the day, it's like Donald Trump said on Theo Bond's podcast, it's just better to talk about it now in the light that we have so we can hopefully save a life or save 2 lives down the road.
Or even save you from wasting time.
And wasting time is a big thing.
It is. It's because.
But the other thing is with all the drug epidemic now, everything's so way more. In social media, it's just so easy. It's so easy to get your hands on anything. It's instant gratification on all boards, just like we talked about in the last UT.
And then bam, you're dead.
And it's bam, you're dead. So when you're young like that, and you're lowering your inhibitions, and you're lowering your Sever ASMR. Sever. Come on, bud. Get away from the microphone.
What would you say for you was the defining factor that made you want to change it all? To turn over this new leaf and become the guy you are today?
I was embarrassed at the person I'd become. And so when you have a big ego and that ego gets destroyed, you don't have anything, right? So that person is literally a reflection of your worst enemy. And like breaking that person takes some crazy force. I don't know if there's an actual defining moment other than, my ex leaving me or whatever, which, people break up, it's fine. But I think the magnitude of that, I think when she left me alone with myself, my worst enemy, is when I broke in half. So it's honestly the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing that ever happened to me was being alone. And that's the best thing that can happen to anyone. Unfortunately, that's the true fact.
I preach that all the time, is that I don't think you can be successful in your life until you know who you truly are by yourself. And, come on, Sever. Because I don't think you can be a good partner until you've been alone. Until you know who you truly are as an adult. Because, a lot of times we get in relationships when we're young. It's like that college age. A lot of people have long-term relationships. Some of them turn into marriages that last forever. But it's significantly harder for you to be a good partner unless you know who you are as an adult in this wild life where you have a ton of responsibilities by yourself.
Yeah. And the only way that you're going to learn that, is by being real with yourself. And that's being completely honest and telling yourself that you're a piece of shit. Even and it's being honest. Like some people are like real hard on themselves. I'm a perfectionist when it comes to that. Right. Sure. But I have a reason to be. And it's because I never ever set myself up for success. I never ever would think hard enough to set myself up for success. And I always ended in failure. Why is that? You just start psychoanalyzing yourself, especially when you get free of the shackles of all the stupid crap that you're doing. That includes the narcissism. That includes the instant validation from other people. Those 2 things are huge right there off the top of my head that I just had to oh, wait, what is this? Being alone, it's the best medicine for somebody looking for the path. is sit there, be alone with your thoughts, think, analyze what mistakes have you made, be honest with yourself, and then progressively move forward slowly. It's not going to be overnight. If you're trying to make a change, or, I don't know what position, some people are. Everybody's position is different.
What would you do if you could go back to when you started and things started to progress into a problem that you could have avoided, and maybe it stays something that's relatively in your life? I don't know if that was an option for you ever. It depends on your personality, but what would you do for yourself? Because what I would do and what you would do are two very different things.
I would stop playing the victim. That's what I would have done. If I could have taken my mindset now and put it in my 18-year-old head, stop playing the victim. Because then that takes all your power away. You have nothing to be upset about. You're not at a war. Both my parents are alive. That's a big thing for a lot of people. That drives a lot of people to that point. My parents didn't have any alcohol problems, drug issues, anything like that. That was just me, right? And I always thought something was wrong with me, whatever else, da-da-da-da. And then this generation with all the stuff on Instagram, Facebook, I was trying to live to be, meet this expectation of other people. I never looked inwards like that, but that's why I felt like I needed more, was because I wasn't ever doing anything for me. And I was always blaming something else, or someone or something else for my downfall. When I was the one going to the store and getting 12-pack of beer every single night because I just couldn't stand to exist. There's no other way to put that. And so when you take away the victim's mentality, like David Goggins talks about, which if you guys haven't heard of David Goggins, which I'm sure you have, go check out his book, Can't Hurt Me. You Can't Hurt Me. I think that's what it's called.
I think it's just Can't Hurt Me.
Can't Hurt Me. And that really kind of flipped a switch in my brain. Like, I didn't know that you could just
persevere,
just run through it. I didn't know. And so now I see a problem. I know that things happen, and I don't ever allow it to enter my mind long enough for it to be an issue. And so there's no reason for me to want to feel better, because I feel good as I can right now.
And that's why I wanted us both to sit down and talk about it, because I knew it'd be two different perspectives.
And
people to see, because mine was kind of the opposite end of the spectrum. Is that, I started partying way harder after Mom had died.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do. I was already, we were going pretty wild because we were college age kids in general when it happened. But after Mom had died, it was so much of just not succumbing to the guilt that I threw myself into what I was doing as a hobby at that time, which was partying. I was working a full-time job, but come Friday afternoon, I was at school and we were throwing down. It's just what we were.
And this was before I met you.
Yeah, and I look forward to it all week because, the regular life I was living, I think I had one roommate at that time, and, I was just going to work throughout the week and surviving. That's all I was doing throughout the week.
And how old were you?
19 when she died.
So
you're like 2 weeks before my 20th birthday.
And you're on the cusp, because we all know that we drink early.
Oh, yeah.
You can find alcohol anywhere. That's just
and I had a fake ID. I didn't care. I could go buy it.
Right. That's just
I just never worried about it because I could go get it if I wanted it.
Yeah.
And, and that's when you don't realize it then, but like those 3 years of just throwing down, they were so much fun. I don't really want to trade those years, but it was following college that it was one of those things where it was still very habitual. For years after that, from 22 to 25,
you're still drinking every day
after work. All the same people I hung out with in college were at my house. That's when you started coming around. After everyone already.
And I had an alcohol problem,
and we would come home from work.
Yep.
And we would drink until it was time to go to bed.
Yep.
And then we would get up and go to work the next day. And it's not like we weren't always drinking a ton.
Yeah.
But we still drank from the time we got home to the time.
And when you're young like that, like I said, you can't really see that problem forming because you're so young.
And you get away with it.
Because your body's not responsive.
Yeah, it just bounces back. I never even felt bad the next day.
I'm bad.
And stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
But you know, it wasn't until I got older, and the biggest thing for me was that it just made me it made me so complacent that I wasn't striving for better and better things. You know, I worked a job that was keeping me relatively well off. I mean, I was still poor, but at 22, you're kind of supposed to be poor. So you don't think about it.
Yeah.
That's something that's super dangerous. In this society, when you're 22, everyone's like, you're 22. Like, you're at the bottom of the barrel. Any job you go to, you're going to be poor.
But if you have already established an issue that nobody knows about, and then they're giving you advice like, oh, well, you're fine. You're supposed to be poor. You're supposed to drink your 20s away and not remember them. That's not the case. Yeah. It's not the case.
And so if I could change it, I mean, that'd be the biggest thing is like, if you had been in a different place with the skill set that you even then, the skill set that you had, and I'd have been in a different place where I was just more driven.
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing is it lowers your ambitions. You're not going to be as driven if you're drinking every day.
Makes you docile.
Yeah, it does. You're just complacent in your life. And you'll do that for 40 years.
Yeah.
And you just go to work every day.
Unless you're built different. Unless you're built different.
You got to be hungry.
You gotta be
hungry. If you're hungry now, before that stuff starts to pick up, just stay mindful of it and understand that it will make you less hungry.
Yeah.
And how much better off could we both be if we had started at 22 versus 28?
And that's what we're trying to
That's the whole message for this whole conversation is, you know, we're not in a bad place now.
No, we're pretty good.
We're grinding to be great.
Yeah.
But how good off could we be now if we started 6 years ago?
We would be killing it even further.
It pissed away so much time.
But you can't go back.
No, because
you can't change it.
Without that time frame, I wouldn't have the life experience that I had.
Correct.
You wouldn't have the life experience you had.
And I
so
needed it.
We wouldn't have the brains doing what we're doing now. So that's why I don't disagree with living your life.
Yeah, and we've both got different forms of life experience.
You're young. You're going to go out. You're going to go out with your friends. You're going to party. You're not fooling me. We didn't fool our parents. You're not going to fool me. You're going to go out and you're going to party with your friends. Well, all I'm telling you is to stay aware of the habits that can form. If you're constantly working to make yourself better, you can squash those habits. And it's just mindful.
And they'll be the same way, where it's like, oh, that ain't going to happen to me. That's not going to do it. No.
Yeah.
Guys, Tyler, Koty, you guys are crazy. There's no way it's going to be a problem.
I'll never be an alcoholic.
There's no way I can form some sort of addiction. Yeah. Yes, you can. And the best thing for you to do is form a positive addiction. Yeah. That's the best thing anyone can do. Especially if they have an addictive personality where they get heightened sense of impulsivity, and then you get a heightened sense of self, like you feel really grounded because you're
it's a dopamine,
and you just have to flow in the state. If you're on alcohol, and this is how spirituality works. That is literally how it all works. And you have to find a good baseline, because one day you can be super manic, and the next day you can be super low. Right? Alcohol makes that 10 times worse. The days that are bad are terrible. 10 times worse. Then you're trying to drink and ain't doing nothing, and you're really frustrated because your tool ain't working, right? Then on the days that everything's great, alcohol heightens that, or drugs heighten that. We're speaking of, kind of a whole sense. Yeah. Drugs and alcohol in general, but yeah, it heightens whatever you're starting to become. And so if you're starting to become a narcissistic piece of shit and you're trying to get over on everybody and you're drinking on top of it, it's going to make you feel more like powerful in that aspect. Like you can get over on somebody, you can manipulate people.
Yeah, because you feel clever.
You've gotten so good.
You feel clever.
And I think that's called, I don't know if it's in the Dark Triad. Jordan Peterson talks about it. It's like a Machiavellian type. It's in the category, and I only know because I was starting to form those kind of personalities from the alcohol. And I would not say from the alcohol fully. I would say from generational freaking trauma in general, people leaving, this, that, and the other, people freaking, somebody dying, passing away, like in your sense.
It's easy for you to develop. It's easy because I was a party pooper.
Yeah.
I was just a naysayer. And, it took someone calling me out significantly and being like, dude, being around you, you're negative all the time.
Yeah.
It's very draining and it makes me not want to hang out with you. And I was like, okay, what can we do to fix it? And that's how I started my journey growing back. That's what really flipped the script and I changed everything.
Because it's either you can get mad at that,
Exactly.
and that proves that you have an issue.
It's maybe because you're self-conscious.
Or-
when I got that message, I was immediately angry.
Frustrated.
And I took 15 minutes before I responded to go, is this coming from a place of malice? Or is someone talking shit? Or are they saying it from a friendship perspective where it's something that if you change would better your life, their life, everything, because you're partners.
So it kind of does sound like you kind of maybe had a subliminal victim.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Like, you're not going to...
We all have general tendencies to like to steer towards our victim mentality.
Correct.
Because it makes you feel better that you feel bad.
Because you're not blaming yourself.
When you play victim, you just feel better that you're feeling bad.
And when you have that heightened ego, that's the main thing that will take you out, is somebody calling you on your stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And when it just felt like I started calling myself out on my stuff.
It's taking accountability for where you're at and the things that are happening to you.
But I had to relinquish all the crap first, and then I had to wait. And that's the hardest part for people, because they think they're going to have a seizure. They think they're going to die. And in some cases,
you can, very easily.
In some cases you do. In some cases you will. But at the end of the day, don't get to the point.
Yeah.
Don't get to that point. That is what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
And it's not hard. Just say no when you need to say no. If you need to go out and explore and you're 19, you're 20, 21, freaking go freaking live life.
Yeah, but doing things so, and this is one of my biggest things that I preach now, is because like everyone's got a vice.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Even things that are beneficial for you, like working out, can be problematic as a habit that is an addiction.
Yeah.
If you're addicted to working out, you can work out to the point where it is a detriment to your body rather than
and so I will say on my comment about I get addicted to something better or something
still
positive.
Everything in moderation.
Correct. Yeah.
You still got to take days off, but it's kind of the same concept, because I take it now. Like, I still like nicotine.
Yeah, same.
I'll probably use nicotine for a long time because I enjoy it.
If you guys can stay away from it, I would, because it saves you money.
Yeah.
You've got enough money to go smoke some cigars and pop you some Zens or whatever, so be it. But if you're young and you're broke, stop. Just stop, guys. Stop. There's no reason for you guys to do anything like that when you don't have the money or the financial stability to go out here and even try to be a cool guy to your friends. You know what's cool? Say a no. You know what's cool? Abstinence from that shit. You know what's cool? Making cash.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to get to you guys. Make some cash.
If it don't make money, it don't make sense.
It don't make money. It don't make sense. So now let's get into like the later part of like last year, whenever I started making the videos and stuff. That same energy, when you start giving that stuff up, is the same energy that you can project into something else. So if you do have an issue, and if you're watching this and you might struggle with alcohol just a little bit, there's some key tips that I have inside of my brain, because I've lived it and you don't have to. It gets you by. It's very, very simple to say no. It's hard in the beginning and it gets easier, but you got to take it step by step. And if you have a problem, I would strongly advise you to get a plan together. Get a plan together, get it out on a piece of paper. I'm going to do this. Or you could even start by setting goals. And I know it's freaking, oh my gosh, I hear it all the time of Tyler, no, goals are for losers. It's not like that. If you set small goals, if you're the guy that always loses, if you're the guy that's always running to the damn beer cabinet, if you're the guy that always loses the girl, if you're that guy, you've got to start winning at something. And you can do that by setting small goals. You can obtain those goals and then move on to something just a little bit harder as you go. And if you don't gain the goal, reset it, reschedule, remove, replace, whatever you have to do. And just, you have to win something.
And I will plug talk myself for this one, because it's a statement that I used with you, and it's something I live by to this day. Progress isn't linear.
Yep.
You will succeed at goals, and you will fail at. So even some of the smaller goals you plan for, you will fail.
Yep.
It's not a backslide. It's one step backwards, and your next one could take you 2 steps forwards.
The fact that you're recognizing that you failed. Instead of not even looking at it, it's growth.
Yeah.
Period. Because you're analyzing something. Instead of going through life willy-nilly, not looking around, not listening to the spiritual guidance, not listening to your own compass, and you're out here doing what everybody else says is right, you're going to fall into a pit, and it's not going to be fun. You're going to have to... Then nobody's there. The same reason that you're into the pit is because you tried to go and do what everybody else was doing. You fall. Where are they? Nowhere to be found.
You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But, making smart decisions about the people that you spend time with in a different sense of people who are also driven. If you're driven and you're young and you want to be out there hustling, find like-minded people your age or older than you that are equally driven to improve themselves and be successful.
How find somebody better than you?
Exactly.
Compare yourself.
Exactly.
Everybody's like, oh, don't compare, don't do it. It's like, dude, always compare. Always see freaking somebody doing better and make it a point to do better than them.
And again, it's something that you need in moderation. Comparing yourself to other people isn't a bad thing.
No.
Comparing yourself to other people to the point it cripples you from being able
if you're not strong enough yet.
Yeah. Breaks you, and it's a detriment to your life. But like us having each other, you wanted to become successful.
Yeah.
Which made me want to work harder at being successful myself because I was someone you talked to about what you were doing.
Yeah.
It made me more driven just naturally. It wasn't like we were seeking out to change anything for each other. It was just, you're my friend. You wanted to be successful. I wanted to see you be successful. And to do that, there were areas in my life where I had to be better.
Yeah.
Or else I wasn't going to be able to help you succeed.
Likewise here, I had to, I wasn't even going to help myself succeed.
Exactly.
So I had to break that other part of me off, But yeah, you can't really go through life comparing yourself to everybody around you because, you can't help your height, you can't help your personality. And if you just need life experience, and that's where the life experience comes in, but you don't want to go head over heels thinking it's the right thing to do and just kind of being all hedonistic, which means not thinking about what you're doing and you're just doing something for your validation or to feel good or whatever else.
If you find someone successful that you look up to, you can strive to be better than that person.
Yeah.
There are certain aspects about successful people that you can mimic without completely deteriorating your own personality.
Yeah, right.
But there are things that successful people do that are healthy for you.
Yeah.
If you find a successful businessman, chances are at some point in time he said something pretty intelligent about how to be a successful businessman.
Yeah, and so you should listen.
That's great. Utilize that information. But if he says something about working out and he's a fat turd that's just maybe don't take that with a grain of salt.
Don't learn karate from a piano player. Yeah. That's what I always say. Yeah. Don't learn karate from a piano player.
Yeah.
If you're going to learn something, learn it right. If you're going to learn what to stay away from, probably talk to people who have done the things you're trying to stay away from because they can tell you the correct information about why it's detrimental. It is.
That's why there's a lot of ways to get life experience. And one of those things is building your wisdom even at an early age. I have always loved sitting down with the older generation.
Yeah,
always. I've always related well to them. And they can give you real world experience through words if you're just willing to listen to them.
Yeah, but you have to you got to listen close.
There's things, and there's things, opinions change over time. And there's things you got to take with a grain of salt. They're going to say things that maybe aren't appropriate in this day and age.
Yeah.
But that doesn't negate from the fact that some of the things that they're saying are very important.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the people that are our age, they just think that everybody that's older is just, they don't know what's going on. It's like, no, we're here. We all need to work together, right? We need to figure out what's going on in all aspects. Like, bro, well, if the fentanyl and all that stuff's so bad, why aren't we doing something about it? Like, that's what I mean, is that there needs to be something done, so we're trying to...
There's only so much you can do about it as a regular, everyday person.
100%.
Namely, don't do drugs so it doesn't kill you.
Yeah, right. Don't do it.
We want to cut down the death toll of fentanyl, but the borders are open, it's flooding into the country. I never worry about dying of a fentanyl overdose. Namely, because I don't buy drugs.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get accidentally introduced to fentanyl because I'm not around people that do drugs.
Yep.
And I'm not around the drugs themselves.
Yep.
So, therefore... it is a danger. It's not necessarily such a danger to me. as long as I don't start mixing it into my food, then I'm pretty well safe.
Yeah.
But it is a danger nowadays because so many people are hooked on drugs.
Yeah.
What happens? Some stupid Applebee's cook comes to work with a little baggie of Coke in his pocket. And
he goes to do a sniffy.
And then he comes back and touches your food and you dive a damn fentanyl over there.
Yeah, that quick.
And you've never been a drug addict in your whole life.
That quick.
But that's why, it's so important to try to curb this stuff early.
Yeah.
If not for the sake of just keeping you alive and our viewers alive because we care about your success, but really just because, and this is the whole point of me wanting to talk about this, is I just don't want to see you waste years.
I don't know. I don't want to see anybody waste their life.
No, because it's...
Especially for something you can have a choice on.
Yeah.
If you feel like you don't have a choice, you probably got a problem.
Yeah, definitely have a problem.
That's what I feel like you ain't got a choice, you probably have a problem.
And me and you talk about it a lot, is if there's something that you indulge in that could potentially be a vice, that's Zins, booze, yerbas, anything like that. The minute that you want one and you tell yourself, I probably don't need it right now, that's probably your best time to say, definitely don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely don't
catch it early.
And say, because it just builds your ability to say no.
Yeah.
It builds that confidence for you to be able to trust yourself that if it's a bad scenario for you, that you can say no.
Yeah.
The problem is that we're so obsessed in that instant gratification because it's readily available to us at all times that anytime we want something, we typically do it. And so that's kind of how me not drinking when I'm with you started. Because I was drinking here when I first started working with you. I still, if it's 10 o'clock at night and I'll come sit down and have a beer, wind down for a minute.
And I didn't have problems.
It's not like you're doing it in excess, but the more we spent time together for work, it was just, I don't really need it. It's just something that I do to wind down in my own life. But it's because it was a habit from doing jobs
from prior
that you don't like for years and years, or you're stressed about money, whatever. But I realized that it actually has no effect on your actual work day at all. And when I'm here to work. I'm not here for any other reason than to work.
Exactly.
So cut it out. It's unnecessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm at home on my 3 days off and I'm cutting the grass and I want to drink a beer, I go and crack a beer.
Yeah. But in my aspect, it's like you have to use different things as an escape now.
Oh yeah.
Because you get to a certain point that your brain almost is allergic to it. Mm-hmm. And you can't even touch it because it brings back just the same feelings, the smells, the emotions of the problems that you had. And it's almost like a form of trauma.
And to tie into that, last night's a really good example of it because it would have been easy because I was tuned sideways last night. I was furious. And it did derail the night in the sense that it fried our brains from what we were trying to do because we were trying to sit down and have a conversation. But that is an easy scenario if you're at home.
Yeah.
To drown that feeling out and to want to wind down. Because, I'm irritated, but really all I really want to do is wind down because it's the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you go crack a drink, you go take that smoke break, whatever your devices are. And last night we sat down and it was like, okay, now we're both getting tuned up because the energy starts to spread. And it's like, what are we going to do? Because sitting here stewing on this isn't going to work. I'm like, let's turn on some Graham Hancock and let's do some push-ups.
I'm going to do some push-ups.
Let's do a quick workout, watch some Graham Hancock, and it changed the entire energy of the night again. It brought it back.
Yep, brought it back.
By the time it was time for us to go to bed, I was exhausted because, when you get that tuned up, we just...
Yeah, some things happen and it's out of control, and like that also goes into who you are and as you are as a person. And how you feel about...
Find a productive way to change that energy.
Yeah. Always.
We worked our innovative, free-thinking minds.
Yep.
So you take the ability to think about it away, and you start to dive. That's why we watch something intellectual.
Yep.
Because it's like, that gets my mind turning about things that are productive again.
Yep.
And you exert that physical energy because it spins you up. So if you come home from work and you're wound up, even if you're exhausted, take 20 minutes when you first get home, do 30 push-ups, get you a kettlebell, do some curls, and then approach what the rest of your evening needs to look like, and clear your mind. If you had a bad day at work, it's great. I mean, I know you're exhausted because I used to work out after doing manual labor all the time. I did it every single day. Before I ever sat down, because you're still running, once you stop moving, if you work a physical labor job, you're done. I would come straight home. I would change into gym shorts, out of work boots, put tennis shoes on, and I'd immediately go work out before my body had time to stop.
Yep.
And you just get rid of the day's nonsense, because everyone has day-to-day nonsense that happens.
Yep.
You just do. It's part of life. And it was so much more beneficial for my brain, especially right after I moved and I was in a really weird spot, lost all my friends, moved to a brand new city where I only know one person, which is the dude I live with, and the people within his family who I now work for.
Yeah.
Whenever I first moved to Statesville, when it was time to go to bed, I would just lay there and I would have panic attacks. Like my heart rate would be like 135 laying in bed. And I hear, and I just couldn't calm it down. Like, no matter what you did, you can't calm it down. And so I started doing a lot of research because I was like, I can't fucking live like this. It's going to eat me alive sooner than later, because it was starting to happen at work. Like, I would just be at work and my heart would just be thumping. I wouldn't even feel that stressed out, but my heart would just be beating. And so I started working out a lot after work, and that helped, but it only helped so much. So then I got to the point where that's going to be loud. I got to the point where I was stretching every day after work. Small kind of yoga stretching, not like full on watching yoga videos or anything, but just making sure I was good and loose. I spent an hour after I got done working out just sitting outside in the sunshine, getting vitamin D and stretching. Put headphones in. Hayden didn't talk to me when I was doing that anyway. So, like, if I went to work out, he left me alone. So I just sat outside for an hour in the sun, just stretch, work out. And then I found Wim Hof. I don't know if you know who Wim Hof is. The cold shower guy.
I don't know if I've ever seen a video, but I've heard the name. Yeah.
He lives in like the mountains of like somewhere crazy. Anyway, he's really famous for his ability to withstand cold, like shirtless and in swim trunks.
Yeah.
He can regulate his body temperature remarkably well. And he said he found that through like a breathing exercise. And I got to where, like, following, I got like his app on my phone. And I got to the point where I could hold my breath for 3.5 minutes doing this every day.
Well, that's kind of
do it laying down. You close your eyes, and he tells you when to breathe in and breathe out. And you do that for
so it's just like a breathing exercise that you follow. I've heard some of those give you like psychoactive.
It makes you really tingly because it floods your system with oxygen, and then you force your body to use up all that oxygen while you hold your breath.
And so you were doing that every day?
Every single day for like months. And and then that's how I started taking cold showers, because that's part of his thing is if you're not cold plunging, allow your body to adapt to that cold before you start doing cold plunges. Don't just start cold plunges. Start taking cold showers first and track it every day, how long you stay in that freezing cold water. Well, that started to help. So then whenever I would get anxiety at night, when I was laying in bed, I would turn on Wim Hof's breathing exercises, and I would literally, because if you do that, you cannot focus on anything else.
Yeah.
And I would do it.
Kind of comforting, I
would do it and just. I bought an acupuncture mat. I would use it a lot because you're supposed to lay on it for 20 minutes. And I would lay on it in my bed. I put it on top of my mattress, because if you use it on like a hardwood floor, it stabs you to death. It is incredibly sharp. That's all it is like hard plastic. Mm-hmm. And it'll light you up on like a hardwood floor. So I put it on my mattress and I'll lay on it. And then I noticed I would start falling asleep on it. So I'd wake up in the middle of the night with that acupuncture spike stuck to my back.
Yeah.
And that helped a lot. And then after a couple months, it just went away. And it never came back. But like every so often, if I'm getting if I've been really stressed for a long period of time, say money's been tight and it's right around like
Christmas,
the anniversary of Mom's death.
Oh,
big holidays like that.
Yeah, sorry. That's it. Yeah.
Big holidays like that are really hard. And that's something that people don't teach you about grief. Like the next Christmas after someone like a parent has died is terrible. It's the most melancholy feeling of your whole life when everybody else is like super tuned up, super happy to see you. And you're just like, I don't want to see anyone. I want to be alone.
Yeah.
So it really changes how you look at holidays. The holidays are still weird for me.
I
would say they'll stay that way until I have a family of my own, and then I'll be excited for holidays again. But my whole adult life, holidays
are they were good in my younger years, and then for some reason they just got progressively worse. But I think that's just because of my situation. I really think it's just because of my situation, and not to overshadow.
No. I mean, but it gets that way for a lot of adults. It's something that you have to learn how to deal with.
It was terrible for years because it's like you're no better off than you were. It's a reminder that New Year's is coming up. And with New Year's, you may have set goals. Even if you didn't, you know it's a thing. And so it's like subconsciously like embedded in the human nature to think how much have you progressed this year. And if you've gotten worse, imagine if you've gotten worse and like that internal feeling that you get, especially if you're not fulfilling your purpose that you're supposed to be driven towards. Yeah. And that's where I was just drinking every day.
Spent years drinking
every day. Yeah. Every day.
And not living up to your full potential as a person, and it just eats at you.
If you've been listening this long, I was drinking 14, 15 beers a day at the maximum there at the end of the solid run for a solid year. Before that was about 12 to 6, but for 6.5 years straight, I did not go one day without a beer. It was every single day. And it averaged out to 8, 9, and it eventually got up there to the 15 mark when I was laying here going through, probably early liver, what is that called? Cirrhosis. Probably early onset of whatever that was because I was vomiting, couldn't eat anything, couldn't keep any food down. And I was on some anti-anxiety meds you know about. But, when you mix that stuff, that's where it gets dangerous.
It's hard on your
because
body.
All your inhibitions go down.
Yeah.
And I'm not out here trying to be like, oh, well, look at Tyler, I can't trust him now. Because it's like, even Jordan Peterson had to struggle with the anti-anxiety because he was trying to sleep, and it's, they painted the picture like it's good, like it's okay to take these things and it's fine and this and that and the other, which I was told the opposite. I was told the opposite when I was trying to get on it as a kid, like when I was younger, when I manipulated my way into the system. And then, because I wanted it. Everybody was doing it. Future just dropped the album. Everybody wanted some Xanax. Yeah, and I was the guy. It was just, I had no other validation other than to be that guy. And so from an early age, I was just exposed to that kind of activity. And it just got worse and worse and worse over time, which I stayed away from for a while. I learned my lesson when I was 18 or 19 with it. And then it was a big span. And then, it just got rough there for a few years, especially when COVID hit. It wasn't because of COVID. No, it was just the ramifications of the situation.
Everyone had less to do.
Yeah. And it just, man, relationship wasn't great. I wasn't great. I definitely wasn't great. Like that was the worst part of my life right there. And you look around and everybody's just wearing a mask and you're not seeing a smiling face and you're not seeing any happiness in the world. And it just, it was weird. It was very odd. I'm much stronger now than I was, but without going down that far, I would never be as strong as I am now. And so you can't ever, it's a yin and a yang thing.
Yeah, it is.
And that comes with time. And that comes with being alone. You can't, if you're with somebody after you go through a big issue like that, you just cast all your worries and your problems on them. And it's like it's not up to them to carry that. And some people may try, but it's not up to them.
Yeah.
It's up to you to be okay internally.
Yeah.
And because anybody's triggers are not anybody's responsibility.
And that's why I pushed it so hard.
Yeah.
I pushed it in a very weird light when we were younger, but I still tried to convey it and I just didn't have the life experience to convey it correctly. Yeah. But now I have a little bit more of an understanding of what I was doing, even though I wasn't doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Is that I just refused. I refused to start a relationship with someone because I wasn't whole.
Yeah.
I was, I knew somewhere deep down that there was a hole in my heart that to where I couldn't give my full self to another person.
Absolutely.
So I refused to do it. And, it manifested itself in a negative light.
And it manifests itself in various forms.
But
likewise in everybody's
eventually that kind of that morphed as I got older and I got out of the partying stage of life. And as I got older, I realized that what I was doing didn't have to be as negative as it had been, and that I could be utilizing this time to better myself, not just drown myself, whether that be with just being around you guys.
Right.
Because it wasn't just the partying and the women. It was, I was always with someone. And I mean, I had downtime, obviously, but that downtime was when I wasn't sleeping. You know, I spent 3 years of my life in my childhood home where, you know, I lived with my mother. Then when she passed, I took it over, and I had roommates,
which is a huge responsibility to cast.
And I just couldn't sleep. I just didn't sleep for years. I would sleep like 2 hours because I would just lay there awake until I fell asleep. And it wasn't like I stayed up all night drinking or anything. When everybody went home, I went to bed. It'd be like 10 or 11 o'clock. Everybody go home. I'd go to bed. But I would literally just lay there in the dark and just look at the ceiling, and my brain would just swirl.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't medicate myself harder then than I did,
because you just prolonged that.
I would just lay there all night and be like, and just zing all night. But as I got older and time went on, and I started to deal with grief, you know, because I didn't really have the time to deal with the grief then either. I just had a lot of responsibilities. You know, I lived on like a family compound, so like I had grandparents and aunts and uncles, and I became the patriarch of the family.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, you're still a kid, but a lot of these people are leaning on you, so you can't just be broken down.
No.
Everyone else is broken down, so you can't fall apart.
Regardless, you just have to be the backbone of that.
It was like my grief was delayed, and I think a lot of that manifested, and that's why I was so stressed out when I moved. I got away from the family compound. I got away from my support structures that I had known since Mom had died, and I was completely alone. I lived with Hayden, but like...
It's like, hey... I mean, this still ain't over.
I know, you never dealt with me. That's pretty much what happened. It's like, you never dealt with me. You just kind of ran from me.
Yep.
Here I am.
Yep.
And once I finally got past that, it was a huge realization that, oh, buddy, you weren't dealing with this. You were ignoring this. And, you know, I felt a lot better, and I grew a lot very quickly once I figured out where I was. And that's kind of the point of this whole conversation, is that there's inevitably going to come a time where people have struggles.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time before you struggle with something. You're not going to get away scot-free.
Whether it's sickness or a death in your family or an addiction or a struggle, whatever it is, you're going to struggle. And our point is that you can't numb yourself. You have to steer towards the skid.
Yeah.
It's no different than being in an out of control vehicle. Still steer towards the skid. Feel it. You know, I talk about that so much that if something hits you and it gets you real down, it does you no good to say, I can't get down. Take 35 seconds, 5 minutes, crumble for 5 minutes. Just listen to that song, bawl your eyes out, and as soon as that song ends, you're going to go, poof. Me and you have talked about that.
Yeah,
like, whoa. Yeah, it gives you a chuckle, and you're like, wow, that was
because it just comes out of nowhere. You'll think about something absolutely random. You know, I had a cat pass away that hits me sometimes where it's just, you hear, I don't know, it gets you, man. It really gets you.
And you're like, whoa.
God, where'd that come from?
Yeah, but it makes you laugh. And then you're smiling again. And then you're back to your day.
You know why? Because it makes you feel alive.
Yeah. Because that's how you understand happiness.
It's crazy, but it makes you feel alive because it's the pain. Pain is the most realest thing. And like you are feeling a form of pain in that grief.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And so that's the realest form of life is pain. Like that's just as real as it gets. I mean, I think Jordan Peterson even says that too. Which I'm not trying to quote Jordan Peterson every time we heard it, you know, or
but he was very influential in both of our lives.
And he still is.
So, yeah.
And I can't wait for his book. And it's just super exciting to be in this light now and being able to have somebody like JP to listen to and actually be able to obtain the information that I'm getting. Because before, all the information, like, I could have been I was still a good transmission builder. I was still an okay person to some people, but not everyone. And
that's why we're doing this, is if we can be that bridge for someone else that pulls them out of a hole, keeps them from falling in the hole. but inevitably you're going to find your own hole.
Yeah.
And if you can find something like us talking about the stuff that maybe it motivates you to dig your way out, because no one's coming to save you.
No,
You've
really got to you've got to grow into your shoes, and you've got to learn how to walk the path of discipline. And that's all it is. And you have to form your own discipline. Nobody's going to come and hand you guidelines. I would say read the Bible if you want to find some moral guidelines. But the best thing you can do is really think to yourself, like, what can I do better at? What can I be better at? Where am I struggling? Where am I failing? And a lot of that can come through meditation and prayer.
Exactly.
And that's why when I say be alone a lot, it means to just take in a moment, quiet, and just be in the moment for a moment. Literally, just be here for a second, because this only happens. The fact that we're even alive is insane. So,
yeah, there's things out there. Think about how often you drive your car through town.
Right.
And it takes one mistake, one idiot, someone not paying attention.
A road sign flying in the back of the truck and impale the windshield.
Dude, that was a close call.
And then it's like, dude, like, no, it's crazy. It's insane, because I'm speaking from a place of knowledge when it comes to this addiction stuff, and I'm also speaking from a place of joy, because I feel happy to be alive. Like this is the best I have been in my entire life. But I had to go through that pain and through that struggle, put that energy into a kettlebell, and put that energy into making videos and being a better person, making a better decision.
And finding your purpose.
When
you have purpose.
Yeah, it's hard.
It gives you a reason to get up every day.
Any man with a why can bear any how.
Exactly. It's funny, right before we sat down and just to restart the video, I just saw something on my Instagram that was like, any man that finds a woman who is willing to support him wholeheartedly and stand by him can do anything in the world.
Yeah. Sure.
And that is a fact.
Sure.
We as people are pack animals. We like having our person. And there's a lot of ways to find that, because in a lot of ways, me and you do a lot of things together.
Yeah.
But the reality is that without Haley standing behind what I'm doing wholeheartedly right now, it would be impossible for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
If it was against her in any way, it wouldn't be possible for us to do what we're doing. Because that's where I'm at in life.
Yeah.
I found my person. I'm getting married.
Yeah.
And without her support, I wouldn't be able to do it. It wouldn't work.
No, it wouldn't, obviously, because then you're going to be going against the grain. And at that point, your partner becomes you, and you become your partner. At that point, you can't waver.
But I would argue that you have to find that place for yourself.
Yeah, man.
That partner can give you that.
Yeah, they paint a weird picture online where it's like you got to find your partner, and you got to find this, you got to find that. People break up, people stay together. Some people are together since they're in 9th grade. And then they get older and they grow apart while they're together. And nobody wants to be a part of that, because it's just, unless you can build, which is you hear about it, but it's just hard to obtain.
It is.
And we're speaking to guys that are probably 22, 23, 24. Hopefully a little bit younger, hopefully get a younger crowd in here, because we try to set a good example. But at the same time, you need to take care of yourself and not cast your flaws on other people. Don't be like, oh, this is me, accept me for what I am. No, you need to become the best version of yourself before you say anything to anybody. Until you've impressed that guy in the mirror, you're nobody.
100%.
And just like I was talking about earlier, I was my own worst enemy. Now I look in the mirror, I'm like, I can actually shake my hand, if you will, in the mirror.
Be proud of the person you are. Yeah,
you ain't bad. That ain't bad.
And that's something that I've always tried to live up to as an adult. It was like, I saw a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of people that when bad things happen to them, they like to crumble.
Yeah.
The victim mentality is strong in this day and age. We love to soak it up because, like we said, it makes you not feel so bad about feeling bad.
Guys, start blaming yourself for everything. Not to the point where you're hurting yourself, but just try it for a day or two. Just try it.
But one of the ways I always try to justify things for what I was doing was, are you a person today that your mother would still be proud of? I still live by that motto because everyone's got to find an ethos that they stand behind.
Yeah.
And as long as I can look in the mirror and be a person that I think my mom would be proud to know, I don't feel like I failed. And I don't always live up to my own expectations. Sometimes you make mistakes.
We all have. We all do.
The difference is can I wake up the next day and go, all right, you're back on track.
Yeah. Or wake up the next day and implement something where you can make a better decision, where you can place something in a different spot. That way the outcome is different. You know, especially if you have a life that you're trying to build, the last thing you need is inconsistency. The first thing you need is consistency. And when you're going through addiction, everything's so inconsistent because your mood's inconsistent. And to touch on what you said earlier about your heart rate, my heart rate was always elevated too.
Yeah. Your body's constantly under stress.
It was under stress, and I weighed almost 200 pounds. And so I was bloated and I couldn't breathe. And even like hardly exercising would wear me out significantly. It was a sorry sight, you know, and I hated, because you know who you are in the mirror. It's not just a reflection. It is the embodiment of the person is the mirror. And so you see yourself and you can I think I have an attachment to that because I tripped on mushrooms one time and like made this weird connection, but I don't know if that's true or not. It's probably just something stupid. But yeah, and then it slowly morphs into something that you finally understand that you're building something. You finally understand that the Bible is telling the truth when it says your body's a temple, you know? And it's like, that doesn't mean, oh, you can't have tattoos or, oh, you can't have a drink. It means take care of it. Be mindful. Yeah. If you do something else to counteract it. Or it's like you have a beer, drink of water. You know, it's a really good freaking motto to run by. You know, if you smoke and drink, don't drive. You know, like those kind of things. Like take care of yourself to the point where, you know, I like to take care of myself by eating healthy and, you know, trying to Applebee's ain't that healthy, but that's all right.
But the ultimate point is practice moderation and more specifically practice self-discipline.
But if it's not for you, don't chase it. Don't chase the dragon. If it's calling your name, don't chase it. No. If it's something you do where it's just on an occasion, like, it's fine. It's okay. But it's not for everybody. So you have to understand who you are. And that's part of what we're talking about. We're talking about finding yourself before finding somebody else. Finding yourself so you can be the better person. Finding yourself so you can make that extra cash where you can support your family a little bit more. Where are you lacking at? Maybe you're not filling your spirit and just your full purpose. Maybe there's some you're in your life, even if you're mistakenly working your 9 to 5 and you're afraid to take that step somewhere else. Like
you got to start implementing things that can give you that freedom.
You have to. You have to start planning something out.
Yeah. And, you know, I hope this conversation has helped someone, even one of you guys. You know, we're constantly looking for a way to relate to you guys because we love what we do and we love doing this.
Oh, I could sit here all night.
If I could make it, I could too. And if we could find a way for this to be a way to support ourselves, I would do it far more.
Yeah, and if we're helping people, you know, let us know in the comments how much you like this conversation. If you want to keep hearing things like this, if you want to hear,
if there's something you want to talk about,
if you want to see Mavy lay there and sleep all day, let us know if you. Yeah, like Cody said, have anything that you want to talk. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, leave in the comment section. Be sure to hit that subscriber. Go check out our transmission videos. Go check out our teardown videos and our full build videos. We got a whole lot of stuff coming your way, and man, this page has grown crazy. We're almost to 40,000 subs. I think.
Yeah, we're getting
37K.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I didn't mean shit on that overheating. That's just like, I was just trying to add some context to the video on that freaking Turbo 350 reel that has 1.1 million. Where's your video? The guy that's bitching about, oh, it's not overheating because it's cake. It's like the stuff was literally caked on there and hard. And it's just when a transmission gets over 200, which I say, they can run hot. I'm not saying they can't, but it's just when you run the 4-wheel drive stuff like that, it wasn't no big thing. Kind of like using the word core. You guys freak out and get your panties in a wad over the word core. Like, if you're a hater and you see this, and just keep in line. If you want to do your own transmissions, learn from me, then post your own video and tell me what I'm doing wrong. Then we can talk about it. Or you can come sit in this chair and we'll have a discussion about that.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic. We would love the support from our haters.
Well, guys,
we're going to work out.
Yeah. Have a good night. And as always, God bless. Thank you guys for your support. And let us know what you think.
Yeah, Maverick just woke up, so we're gonna get him some food and turn on some Graham Hancock. Go on Netflix and check out Ancient Apocalypse.
That's pretty awesome.
Graham Hancock hammers it home, and it's worth a rewatch.
Yeah,
it really is. Lots of stuff in there, and then we're listening to his book, Fingerprints of the Gods. Fantastic book.
It really is.
I know you got to listen a little bit last night, but I'm sure that just that little chapter
was
pretty damn